Many thanks to Fellow Extraction Squad, Clash from the servers, Sergeant Pepper's servers, Seattle's Cloud, Sovereign RP server, the Struggle community, the Camera Crew servers, Dots, Designful, Friendly DayZ podcast, and the Settlement for making this video possible. I found a new way to display where loot spawns in DayZ that allows me to generate loot heat maps and shows individual spawn points on the map. So due to this new information, I'm going to be showing you all the reasons why I was wrong about loot in the past, why higher loot tiers does not always mean better loot chance, and a new method to easily find the best loot locations on the map. While the loot finder has been great for identifying where to look for gear, it does not consider how many of which spawn points are in a given area. And to give you an example of why this is important, while searching for the M4 on Livonia, both of these gas zones seem like great places to get one, but one of these gas zones is far better than the other. So loading up what I call loot bubbles, we can see how many individual spawn points each gas zone has for the M4, meaning the M4 can potentially spawn in all of these locations here, with both of these having around the same amount of spawn points, so you would believe that searching either gas zone would give you roughly the same chance to finding the M4, but some of these spawn points are not equal to others. Based on 3,000 M4s spawning across all these spawn points here, there is a 20% chance it will spawn here and a monstrous 80% chance it will spawn over here. This is best shown with loot heat maps. This is the combined probability of all M4 spawn points put together and the chance of an M4 appearing at that spawn point, clearly showing that the airfield gas zone is a much better place to get an M4. Now it's at this point in the video that Wobo explains why this airfield gas zone is better than this one for the M4, but I just don't know. It could be that loot is distributed on the map from left to right, so that this gas zone fills with M4s before this one does over here, but most likely it's simply down to spawn points being better than others. Each spawn point has a whole bunch of items it could potentially spawn, with each item having a chance to spawn there, so maybe the spawn points at the airfield have fewer items to choose from, and therefore they select the M4 more often. Because this also happens with the DMR, it has a 80% chance to spawn at this airfield too, exactly the same as the M4, so this isn't some random chance that this happened to the M4, this is 3,000 DMRs as well. I've noticed this for many different items, such as the R12 shotgun. The R12 has a 45% chance to spawn at Toplin across this area here with 27 different spawn points, and these are designated to the R12, but there's only a 13% chance for it to spawn at the nearby prison over here, which has 43 spawn points that are designed for the R12. Both of these are tier 2 police, they're 4,000 meters away from each other, and yet one is 3 times more likely to spawn the R12. So if you have any theories as to why this happens, I would love to hear them below. This is based on the R12 spawning 3,227 times. Also, there doesn't appear to be a bias to stuff spawning on the left side of the map more than the right side of the map, as gun cleaning kits, the Lamas and Lamas mags all spawn often on the right side of the map, so they're easier to find in Borak than any other location on the map. This new loot data highlights just how wrong I was about where stuff spawns and the chances of it spawning in different locations. It reveals the best locations to get gear, and it includes some very weird bugs that I'm going to show you now. One of the bugs is that the 60 round Stanag on Chernerus, there used to be 3 of these on a map. They used to spawn in gas zones and supply crates, but in 1.28 they do not spawn at all. During all of my testing, none of these mags spawned. Another weird one is that at Riffy here in the gas zone, most items are found in the ship, but for some reason the M4 wants to spawn outside of the ship, even though the SVD, the AUG-AX and the LAR are restricted to the ship and they do not spawn outside, only the M4 can be found inside these containers. Strange happenings appear at Pavlovo gas zone too, such as AK suppressors only being found inside hospitals. These are all the AK suppressors I found, and they're only inside the hospital, and even though they've been assigned to spawn on shelves only, it mostly spawns on the floor. The loot does get weirder. Plastic explosives spawn in all dynamic trains apart from military trains, so the metal carriage trains and the wooden trains also have plastic explosives and remote detonators, but these spawn much more often at Novo Industrial Area, which is the best place to find them on any of the maps. These 2 items somehow can also be found at police situations. It's extremely rare for this to happen, and I do believe it's a bug, but over here I found a plastic explosive. Plastic explosives appear to be quite bugged on Sakau 2, only spawning at these 11 spawn points for whatever reason, and FYI this is based on over 3,000 plastic explosives spawning on this map alone, yet the remote detonator spawns where it should in tier 3 industrial. Plastic explosives have a mind of their own, they only spawn at these 11 spawn points. On Livonia, these are best found at Nadbor and surprisingly Dolnik down here. There's loads of industrial spawn points at Dolnik. It's a really good place to check. And also found on non-military trains like Chernoris and at Dambog Bunker, even though Dambog is not considered a unique loot area. The M79 also spawns at Dambog, but it's much easier to find at military trains. As you can see, there's plenty more heat over on military trains, and they've removed many locations where the M79 used to spawn, such as Nadbor Quarry Military, and we didn't even know about it. The plain version of the Pioneer also spawns strangely, only spawning in these 3 locations on Livonia, and the same strangeness is happening on Chernoris, but the Chernoris or Livonia version of the Pioneer does spawn normally. It's only the one that doesn't have this tag at the back. On Chernoris, the prison is considered the best police location on the map, even though the game file says it's not a police location, making Prison Island the best location to get yourself an R12 shotgun. Another island to consider looting is Scalisti, because it's the best location on the map to get yourself a blaze, and it looks like from this data that the whole island is actually considered hunter area, but the camps around the map are a better place to find items like the gun cleaning kit, the hunting bag and the hunting optic. On Sakau, the best hunting location is a power plant, which is also the best place to get yourself a marksman scope on any of the maps, but these 2 villages over here have a huge amount of hunting spawns too, and on Livonia it's hunting camps again, so hunting camps are pretty OP, which is also the best place to get yourself chainmail gear too. On Chernoris, chainmail gear is best found at Krona, all of the chainmail gear, with Devil's Castle coming in a close second, and it looks like chainmail also spawns on Scalisti. Even though this area does not have the historical loot tag, it is considered historical loot. Another strange spawn is the Tundra, and might explain why people can't find the Tundra as often. According to the game files, it spawns in tier 3 and 4 hunting locations, but is best found at Krona and Devil's Castle, not hunting camps, telling us that game file data is not to be trusted when it comes to loot. 2 other examples is the smaller org. It should spawn at Dambog Bunker on Livonia, but it does not spawn at all. I could not get this to spawn, and the same goes for the tactical helmet on Sakau. It should spawn in containers, but doesn't. The more I look at the loot data I've collected, the more I find stuff like this, and it just does not make sense. I'm at a point here where I believe that the devs have some super secret loot settings behind the scenes, and they can adjust it for certain items on the map just to play with me and other people that try to find where stuff spawns, making all of the previous loot data we've collected quite unreliable. A great example of this skullduggery is the 9x39 ammo box versus the armor piercing ammo box. So these 2, they're pretty much the same, just one is armor piercing, and in the game files where they spawn should be exactly the same because their data is exactly the same. But in the actual game, the AP rounds, this box here, spawns at dynamic events, even though there is absolutely no indication that they should, giving us some pretty strong evidence that where stuff spawns is not solely decided by the game file data that we can see, and also means that server owners don't truly control where stuff spawns on their server. To confirm this though, I would need several server owners to check where these 2 spawn on the map, and also for you to confirm if my results are correct. In-game data is much more important than game file data, as we've seen from this video, which if confirmed to be true, this means that this new loot location data seen in this video is the only loot data that we can actually trust, with this data being accessed using the new loot probability tool, so everybody can access this information. Searching for an item, it will show you the top locations to find the item on the map based on this new loot data, or for members you have access to loot heat maps and the spawn point bubbles that I've been showing in this video, which automatically get placed on the map when searching for loot in the latest map update. Patch notes below. Now because of all of this, Loot Finder 1 is now officially outdated. I'm working as fast as I can on an update, but that update probably will not include game file data anymore. Over the last few patches, game file loot data has become increasingly unreliable. I'm not the only person to notice, which I believe is bad for the community, as you'll just have to blindly trust the loot data that I collect or other people collect without having any way to check it for yourself. If you're willing to trust my data, the loot probability tool is good enough to get the job done, of which you're probably going to find some surprises there, like Borek is an amazing military loot location. The best location for loose SKS ammo is coastal towns. Certain rooms of the Sakau bunker always spawn the same loot, and you can find out which convoy is best for spawning your particular weapon. Free to use, link below. Let me know your take on all this info. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.